Let's begin with politics. Now, the National Working Committee of People's Democratic Party has nullified the suspension of Senator Adolphus Wabara, the chairman of the Board of Trustees. In a statement on Tuesday, National Publicity Secretary Debo Olusola denounced the suspension as unconstitutional, arguing that it violated the party's 2017 constitution and lacked due process. Now, Wabara was suspended by the Abia State chapter for endorsing Governor Alex Oti's re-election bid in October 2023. The state chairman of the party, Ama Abraham, who announced his suspension at the meeting of a state executive committee on Tuesday in Umuahia, disclosed that the former Senate president is yet to respond to questions by the party over an alleged comment for more than 1 year. However, the NWC emphasized that no state committee has the authority to suspend a member of the National Executive Committee, warning against actions that undermine party structures. We're still talking politics. Governor Simeola Fubara of Rivers State says he is confident of securing a second term should he make up his mind to seek re-election in 2027. The governor spoke in Port Harcourt during the solidarity visit by the 3 local government areas that make up the Kalabari ethnic nationality. The delegation had endorsed him for re-election, citing his leadership qualities and commitment to infrastructural development, including the ongoing 200 billion naira Trans-Kalabari Road project. The governor emphasized the focus of his administration in serving the needs of Rivers people, rather than to measure how long he wants to be in office.
Power belongs to God. So you see, I like believing that we don't have any problem. When we get to the bridge, if we can't build the bridge, Moses will come and create the way for us. So you don't need to worry. When we get to that bridge, we will cross the bridge. We will cross it in a way that our enemy will be struggling. They will see where we're passing. Then they will wake up to see that we're at the other side of the bridge. So don't worry.
Now, African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina says he's ready to serve Nigeria and Africa in any capacity after his tenure at the bank expires in the second half of this year. Discerning observers are interpreting this to mean that he may run for Aso-Rock in 2027, which he declined to do in 2023. Expectations were high and widespread for him to contest for Nigeria's presidency in the last general election, so much that he had to issue a statement clarifying he could not do so at the time because he enjoyed his job and AFDB rules did not permit him to go into politics. Now, Adesina served as Agriculture Minister in the administration of the former President Goodluck Jonathan. He was first elected as the 8th president of the AFDB on 28th of May 2015 and later won a second and final term, which he will complete in 2025. Now, the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security has assured Nigeria's electoral body of the use of technology and adequate deployment of personnel for future polls. The committee made this known during the first meeting with the electoral body for the year 2025. Amadine Uyi reports.
In attendance were members of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. The chairman of INEC gave an update on the conduct of elections so far and preparations for future off-cycle polls.
As you are aware, 9 by-elections were conducted last year. Since then, 16 more vacancies have occurred in 12 states of the Federation, involving 2 senatorial districts, 5 federal constituencies for election to the House of Representatives, and 9 state assembly constituencies.
He attributed the successes for the conduct of recent polls to the collaboration with security agencies, saying it remains a learning curve for the Commission.
Our experience in the management of logistics during the last Ondo State governorship election provides the template for future elections. Better coordination in the deployment of security and electoral officials contributed to the early commencement of polls and the peaceful conduct of the election, in spite of the challenging terrain, especially in the riverine areas.
Representatives of security agencies present assured the Commission of continued support to ensure future polls are peaceful and electorates can participate.
The agency has assured that the lessons learned from the isolated incidents recorded during the last elections in Edo and Ondo will be vital in refining security strategies ahead of the forthcoming by-elections in some parts of the country, including the governorship election in Anambra State, scheduled for November 25th, later this year.
The Nigerian Police Force, under the Inspector General of Police IGP will continue to provide adequate security for all INEC staff and INEC materials during all elections nationwide. And the Nigerian Police Force, in collaboration with other security agencies, would still continue to provide security before, during, and post-election.
They also assured the Commission of the deployment of technology to ensure that adequate security is provided in future elections. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Now, the special advisor to the president on policy communication, Daniel Bwala, has claimed that the NSAS movement led the foundation for what he describes as irresponsible protesting in Nigeria. Now, Bwala made the statement while appearing on News Central's Breakfast Central to discuss the impact of President Bola Tinubu's policies and reforms on Nigerians. And according to him, the government cannot stand by and allow unregulated protests, citing past demonstrations in Lagos as an example.
It started on Sunday. After church, I drove, and then I stopped by the central area, tried to identify with Nigeria, let them express themselves. For the first few days, almost a week or close to 2 weeks, they had all the freedom in exercising whatever. In Lagos here, they were singing, bringing parcels. Nobody had a problem. When we began to have the problem was when they came up with the demands. Governor Sanwo-Olu took the demands to President Buhari, and President Buhari said, I'm going to implement them. Some of those demands are not automatic. Reforms in the police, you can't do reform overnight. Now, after he agreed that he was going to implement that, a strategic protesting group with leadership would have said, okay, we then have to, just like the labor union, we are going to call up the protests for 2 weeks and see government action. When they fail, we are going to be back on the street. You know what those guys said? They said, we are not leaving the street until we see those things happen. So they now start taking over the highway, taking over the street, thereby blocking people. So in other words, you want to shut down the law and order in the country. There is no police anywhere in the world that will close its eyes to that fact. Now, NSAS was the beginning and the foundation of irresponsible protesting.
Away from that now, Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says that ahead of the second anniversary of President Bola Tinubu coming up on May 29, 2025, the ministry will commence its ministerial scorecard series. The minister, during a State of the Nation address in Abuja, says that members of the federal cabinet will be afforded the opportunity to inform citizens of the performance of their ministry and efforts being made to achieve the goals of the president. Now, his comments follow President Bola Tinubu's directive to ministers to resume a public performance review from next week as part of a drive to promote transparency and keep Nigerians informed about government programs.
This meeting is twofold. One, to take you through the activities and programs of government, especially from January to date. And second, to also intimate you with the fact that the ministerial press briefing, as directed by Mr. President, is commencing next week. Over the next 3 months, as we approach the second anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. We will bring honorable ministers to the National Press Center on a weekly basis so that they will explain to Nigerians what they are doing, what they intend to do, so that Nigerians can be better informed.
You're still live with us on the news. We'll go on a short break now, and when we come back, health authorities confirm 112 Lassa cases, 12 deaths in Ondo State. The details of this and more after the break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, global anti-corruption watchdog, the Transparency International, says that Nigeria now ranks the 26th most corrupt country worldwide. Transparency International, while releasing its 2024 Corruption Perception Index report in Abuja, says that corruption poses a major threat to development and has become a dangerous problem in every part of the world.
The whole idea is to strengthen our fight against corruption. It's not really about any superiority, contest of any idea or understanding of issue. I think what the bottom line is that what Nigerians want, they want an improvement in our, system. They want to see that you apply for admission, you don't need to pay bribe, whether with the money or with their body. They want to see that if you apply for a job, you are given it. There is allegation that is going on now that Central Bank of Nigeria, after sacking some people, now they are bringing in some people in the name of consultant and allegedly paying them huge amount of money. So that kind of thing, it's not even open for any competitive thing, and that break the rules even in the employment in Nigeria.
Nigerian lawmakers have rejected a planned 50% hike in telecom tariffs, insisting that service providers must first improve network quality. Some of them from the House of Representatives, in an unrelated debate, also called for tougher counterterrorism measures to curb the rising attacks by terrorists on the civilian population in Ondo State, northeast Nigeria. Our correspondent Idong Joseph has more from Abuja.
Ofuji Obuku, representing Yanagwa, Okpokoma constituency, sponsored the motion calling for the suspension of the proposed telecom tariff hike. Obuku argues that the increase will place additional burden on customers, many of whom are already struggling with economic hardship and poor network service.
Imagine a scenario where a 10% increase is approved. It is estimated that a 10% increase in telecommunication cost will reduce small businesses' profitability up to 7%, potentially leading to closure of businesses.
During deliberations, some lawmakers acknowledged the concerns of telecom providers regarding the need for a tariff review, but called for caution and balance. Others insisted that service quality must improve before any tariff adjustments can be considered.
The last increase was done over a decade, over 10 years. And for somebody like I did say, coming from private sector, how do you expect them to increase their performance? Knowing that prices of virtually all the various indices have increased. I think we'd rather say that the tariff can be increased, but maybe not as much as 50%.
The same telecom we are talking about right now, they are not at their best. You want to increase tariff? Yes, all over the world, even in the developed society, they pay for the services that they enjoy, but the services must be at par.
Meanwhile, lawmakers also turned their attention to another urgent issue of national importance: insecurity in the northeast. In a separate motion addressing terrorist attack in Borno State, lawmakers called on the federal government to deploy additional troops to affected communities and prioritize state police reforms.
The House resolved to urge the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Police Force and other relevant security agencies to immediately deploy personnel and reinforce security operations in Chibuhui, Yerkawa communities and other vulnerable areas in Askira-Uba Federal constituency to prevent future attack. In unison, support as a matter of urgency the establishment of a state police. Mr. Speaker, this is very apt to avoid a continuous 1 minute silence.
Following a unanimous agreement, the House referred the matters to relevant committees for further legislative action. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Now, lawmakers in Nigeria's Senate have called for a 10 billion naira special fund to finance literacy development in the nation's capital market for the 2025 fiscal year. Now, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Market, Osita Izunaso, while speaking during a session with Nigeria's Minister of Finance, says that there is a need for the fund considering the significant financial losses incurred by citizens due to gaps in the operation of the capital market. Izunaso says that the proposed fund will provide critical literacy programs and much-needed investor education, which will help reduce future losses and increase financial awareness. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, in reply, says that Nigeria's economy has made steady progress over the past year, despite imbalances inherited by the current administration from past governments.
Yeah, I just conferred with him now and the other colleagues, and they said we should request you to approve 10 billion naira in 2025 budget for special funding on capital market literacy development. So if you do that, we'll be happy and the capital markets will blossom. Most of them lost their money through this capital market system. People lost, so people have not regained confidence. You are pushing them.
There has been a movement as a result of correcting the imbalances of the past, but the exchange rate is relatively stable and it has prospects. If we look at the medium-term expenditure framework, and in particular the 2025 budget estimates and what was put before the National Assembly, the trajectory is to a lower exchange rate as well. So Central Bank has wrestled with that issue, and rather than crisis, I think we have stability as we have in the economy as a whole.
Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to protecting host communities from oppression by oil companies, while also warning against disruptions to oil production. Now, speaking when he received the management of a multinational oil company at Government House, Asaba, the governor emphasized that oil production is the backbone of the state's revenue. He stressed that any disruption could have significant economic consequences. While calling for a balanced and harmonious relationship between oil firms and host communities, Oborevwori urged investors to take advantage of Delta State's business-friendly environment, assuring them that the state remains safe and conducive for investment.
Company, I will support you to do operation. What you know you can do for the host community, do for them. I will not allow the company to oppress the host communities. I will not allow the host community to also stop operation, because we are depending on oil. So if the production are not there, then we cannot be able to do roads, infrastructure, and so many things. So we divide most of our monies from production. So if the production is high, Delta State will benefit. Today we are number one in production. If we allow crisis, our production will go down. So I always encourage that nobody should disturb operation. Let operation go on very well. But the needful, the companies should also do the needful. I want to assure you that Delta State is safe for business. I encourage other investors.
Now, about 250 intending pilgrims from Delta State are set to embark on a spiritual journey to Israel and Jordan in early March seeking divine intervention for the nation, their state, and their families. At a one-day orientation seminar held at the Christian Association of Nigeria Secretariat in Asaba, Governor Sheriff Oboreveri charged the pilgrims to uphold the values of integrity and faith as representatives of both Delta State and Nigeria. Represented by the Commissioner for Bureau of Special Duties, Etachurere Terry, the governor encouraged them to pray for the restoration of Nigeria's lost glory and the revival of the church. He also issued a stern warning against absconding or engaging in unwholesome activities, stressing the importance of maintaining moral and spiritual discipline throughout the pilgrimage.
The governor has advised every pilgrims that are traveling to be law-abiding, to be faithful, because this is a Christ-like exercise, and they have to listen and obey the leadership of this exercise.
So we need to learn some culture, some attitude when we get out there. I think these basically are the things I try to tell the people. Of course, the documents they have to travel with, but essentially they must be good ambassadors of Delta State in the first place and good ambassadors of Nigeria.
The expectation of the state government and the board in question expect zero abscondment. Everybody will go and come back 100%. And they will go as practicing Christians with faith and come back with stronger faith. Added to that is lifting up the governor and his family up in prayer, Delta State in prayer, Deltans in prayer, for us to have a better blessed state.
Now, activities have begun in Plateau State for a review of the Plateau State Development Framework for the 2023 to 2027 implementation progress, which seeks better development of state administrative processes.
I want us to give our best. Our people are dying. Our people are retrogressing. Our people are suffering. Our people are in poverty. And they have given us the trust to do something about their situation. May we not fail. The time is now. We can't wait long. We can't wait long. The time to make a difference is now. And I want to beg you, wherever is your duty post, rise to the occasion.
To take our time and reflect and realign ourselves, evaluate the performance so far that has been on his governance in the past 2 years, and to see how we can forge ahead as a government, to see how we can be giving good leadership to the people of Plateau State. The effect of this retreat will to no small extent be able to chart a direction for Plateau State and the people of Plateau State. And so it is a good one that we have to do some thinking here and reflection here.
Now to security matters. The Defense Headquarters disclosed on Monday that 800 former Boko Haram fighters who surrendered to the military were undergoing de-radicalization of onward reintegration into the society. The Chief of Defense Operations, Major General Emeka Unumajuru, made this known in an interview where he added that 1 year is enough time to reorient and reintegrate the ex-terrorists into the larger society. He said, though about 129,000 Boko Haram fighters have been arrested so far, only 800 former fighters were carefully selected to participate in the rehabilitation and reintegration project tagged Operation Safe Corridor. He argued that kinetic and non-kinetic strategies must go hand in glove for Nigeria to win the asymmetric warfare against insurgents. Yet again, still on security, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has issued a directive banning officers from carrying assault rifles while dressed in civilian clothing. And this new order aims to ensure professionalism within the Nigeria Police Force and prevent the misuse of power. Egbetokun also emphasized the importance of upholding human rights, warning officers of severe consequences for any breaches. The IGP's directive highlights the need for police personnel to follow ethical guidelines and maintain operational integrity in all situations. Now, the Commissioner of Police in Plateau State, Emmanuel Adesina, has restated the determination of the State Command in ensuring the activities of criminals are brought to the barest minimum. The Commissioner, while parading various suspects before newsmen in Jos, the state capital, commends Governor Khaled Mutfwang of his support in the war against crime, while also appreciating Plateau residents for their useful and timely information. Correspondent Chizoba Aniwe reports that the crimes against or range from impersonating military personnel, kidnap, culpable homicide, illegal possession of firearms to the stealing of cow meat worth 2 million naira from a cold room.
Period under review, the command has recorded some operational driven successes in the arrest of criminal elements who are bent on making the job of policing in the state difficult and ensuring that law-abiding residents of the state experience pain and anguish. The arrest of these criminals today has also led to the recovery of arms, ammunition, and other unlawful implements that aid them in their criminal trade.
Nigeria, one of Africa's largest economies, says it is building a resilient and competitive business environment by adopting Germany's chamber-led eco-governance model. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, in collaboration with the Ghanaian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, plans to implement this model to enhance Nigeria's economic sustainability. News Central's Nasir Agbalaya filed this report.
Chambers of Commerce in Nigeria and Germany are working together to reduce the geopolitical risks both are exposed to. This is happening through a collaborative program to upskill Nigerian youth as well as small and medium-scale enterprises or SMEs in a partnership that will enhance their competitiveness to drive economic growth.
The Nigerian people would gain a lot because you see, in Germany we have a unemployment rate below 5%. I think here in Nigeria you have an unemployment rate above 20%. The German model of dual vocational training has proved to be very, very successful because from the very first day the apprentices gain experience from the market. That means it's a market-driven approach, not a supply-driven approach for migration. That means the young guys have to learn German here in Nigeria, and then either when they have already passed a high qualification, they can start to work in Germany, or which applies to more Nigerians is to receive a free dual vocational training, which opens up them then later to either work in Germany or work all over Europe. But of course we are interested that the Nigerians work in German companies. They will get good payment. And yeah, maybe later they might return to Nigeria.
Affirming the benefits, some participants at an advocacy and policy session in the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry shared more insight.
Objective of the improvement project is to help optimize the chamber processes, also help optimize membership development, and as well as entrepreneurship, especially within the country. You know, we have so many SMEs and they need development.
This training basically is about how to enhance chambers, the operation of chambers, and make them much more effective and efficient. And like you can see, our partners from Germany have really achieved a lot. It is the German Chamber of Commerce that really runs the economy.
Incidentally, this project came after an investment pitch by a former government spokesman.
That's another area where I think the government is now doing a lot, in terms of, incentives and the like. Especially the focus of the government now is that we are not going to don't just take out our raw minerals, add value to it. That way you create jobs. That way you do transfer, technology transfer also.
A major European powerhouse is making inroads into Africa's most populous nation to secure its economic status while ensuring a steady remittance stream for those interested.
Now let's move to health stories. At least 12 people have died from Lassa fever in Ondo State, with 112 confirmed cases and 353 reported infections. Acting Statistician-General of Ondo State, Olusola Ajayi, made this known on Tuesday while addressing workers at the State Waste Management Authority, urging a joint effort to curb the disease spread. Now, in a related development, the Permanent Secretary of the State Ministry of Health, Dr. Adeniran Ikuomola, has confirmed nearly 400 suspected cases since the outbreak. The state government, in collaboration with federal agencies, has set up a new diagnostic center to improve detection and reduce fatalities. Efforts are ongoing to combat the outbreak and prevent further deaths. Now, residents of Lagos have been encouraged to take advantage of Ilera Eko, considered as an affordable health insurance scheme designed to reduce payments of out-of-pocket scheme. The State Health Management Agency gave the advice at the flag-off event of its door-to-door campaign in Badagry to promote the health scheme. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more.
Good health enables people to achieve their potential and helps build a stronger society. Against this backdrop, the Lagos State Health Management Agency says it remains committed to achieving universal health coverage for the people following a roadshow and door-to-door sensitization program aimed at promoting the Ilera Eko social health insurance scheme across the state. At its flag-off in Badagry, one of the 5 divisions in Lagos State, conversations were focused on the need for residents to take advantage of the health plan.
The executive order has said now that Ilera Eko is mandatory for all residents in Lagos State. So we are not stressing people. We don't want them to have too much issues. And we know that in the communities, people would rather walk into somewhere or have somebody come and talk to them than go online and register, for those of us that are in the corporate world. So it is necessary for us to spread our tentacles within the community and in the grassroots.
Health officials in the communities, however, believe the 60 days door-to-door sensitization campaign will help engage the residents on the benefits of enrolling into the health insurance scheme.
Bringing Lashma or Ilera Eko down to their doorstep, I'm sure it will solve more than 50% of their health issues and challenges.
Community leaders commend the Lagos State government for making healthcare accessible to the grassroots, especially the riverine area.
This Ilera Eko is one of the best things that has happened to the people of Lagos State, particularly my people in Ajeromi, Falodu, Apapa, and Amuo, Sokoriade local governments.
We want to thank Mr. Governor for this laudable initiative to have extended and created Ilera Eko, Lashma, for them to have qualitative and adequate healthcare delivery for those who really need this health facility.
The Health Management Agency currently has over 1 million people enrolled into its health insurance scheme, but hopes to exceed this figure after the door-to-door campaign exercise. In Lagos for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
Coming up on the news, fresh fighting erupts in eastern DR Congo. This and more after the short break. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, Namibians have praised Sam Nujoma's leadership, particularly his role in national healing and reconciliation following the bitter struggle for independence and South Africa's divisive policies of racial segregation. Now, Nujoma, Namibia's independence hero and first post-apartheid president, died at the age of 95. Widely regarded as the father of the nation, Nujoma led Namibia to freedom from apartheid South Africa in 1990 and served as president for 15 years. His death was announced by President Nangolo Mbumba on Sunday. And now to discuss this further, we're joined by journalist Esther Mbatera from Windhoek, Namibia. Thank you so much, Esther, for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
An absolute pleasure. Now, Esther, how have Namibians reacted to the news of Sam Nujoma's passing, seeing how large his influence was?
Right. First of all, the reaction wasn't as blown out of proportion, because I guess the Namibians were really somehow prepared for his death. Because remember, he was 95 years old and he was very ill. And for the last 3 weeks, or more now 4 weeks, he was in hospital, and it has been, the speculations of his passing has been coming on for a while. And so when it actually then happened on Sunday morning, when the president announced his death, there was that calmness in the country, because it sort of showed that the people were prepared that he was not going to come back. Yesterday, the former president, Hifikepunye Pohamba, also said that the last time that he visited Nujoma, he realized that it's time, it's actually time, and he has to let him go. So currently the reaction in the Namibian setup is basically also, there's a lot of things happening, especially from government side. What we have currently is that all sporting activities has been put on hold, especially those that will attract a lot of spectators. Those are now your soccer matches, your athletics, and as well as netball and so on. So that is one of the issues that is going on currently. But yesterday, the Minister of Information actually came out and said, look, the school sports can continue, but everybody is going on about their business. But and a lot of people actually have been coming into the capital city to go and see the widow of the former president. They've been going to his house, because his house is just on the outskirts of Windhoek. And a lot of people have been traveling to Windhoek to come and see the president. The only thing that currently we're waiting for is how long the mourning period is, when he will be buried, and so on.
Right. So, Esther, in your opinion, what exactly are the key aspects of Sam Nujoma's legacy that will be most remembered by future generations?
Look, Nujoma was this beacon of hope for the people of Namibia for many years. While he was in exile and we were in the country, everybody was looking forward to the independence of the country. Everybody was looking, they were all looking up to him. They were looking at him as a unifier, because remember when we attained our independence in 1990, the country also, we did not really have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission where people could actually speak out about what happened throughout the liberation struggle, or what happened with the apartheid South African regime. It's unlike what happened in South Africa. So he was seen as this unifier, and he was also seen as because he was the liberator, he was the father of the nation, and he was a very influential figure. And I think the other thing that is coming through is that he's among those African leaders for the liberation of the African nations. He's among the last ones of those influential figures of that has now passed away, because we have seen that the Julius Nyerere have already passed, the Kenneth Kaundas have already passed, the Robert Mugabe's, even the Dos Santos of Angola, they already passed. Nujoma was basically the last among those, that crop of people. The other thing that stood out is that he still remains the only president of Namibia that actually served 3 terms. He was initially when he was voted into the position of president, it was it was the Constituent Assembly that had then put up the constituency, the country's constitution, but that was later changed to give him a 3rd term. So he was the only president in the country that served more than 2 terms, because all of them have served 2 terms. In the other African countries, if you have noticed that many African countries, you've got people that serve more than 20 years into their terms. He did not stay on to power. At the time in 2005, when he handed over power, he literally said that he cannot stay on. He has served his time, and it's up to now for the next generation to take over. He was a pro-youth person. The only thing that he really didn't like much is the LGBTQ community. He has very strong words about those, but we did not see any killing or any jailing of people from the LGBT community.
Okay, Esther Mbatera, thank you so much for joining us and discussing Sam Nujoma's legacy. I'm sure he'll be remembered for most of his things that you've mentioned. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, news reaching us in the studio says that members of the Otumara community in Ebute Metta axis of Lagos have gathered at Lagos State House of Assembly to protest against the recent marking of their houses for demolition. The leaders of the community say that the members of the Lagos State Building Control Agency gave members only 2 days to vacate their houses. Now, for more information, News Central Omolara Ololade had more to say.
Blessings. Yes, we're here presently at the Lagos State House of Assembly. You know, a lot of people have converged here, only to find that they are members of the Otumara community in Ebute Metta West Axis, very close to Costain bus stop. And then, you know, I spoke to a few of them, and they said that they've come to share their grievances to protest against the marking of their houses for demolition. You know, I spoke to community leaders, and they said that they were just given 2 days, that these people came yesterday and they were just given 2 days to vacate their houses. And, you know, I'm going to invite one of them now just to shed more light on the entire story. Please come. Don't worry. So, your name and, you know, what did you say?
I'm Michael Omotori by name.
And, you know, just tell us exactly what happened, what transpired yesterday.
Yes, before yesterday, about 2 weeks or thereabouts, there have been a lot of rumors within the community and that mainland local government that our community will be demolished, that Otumara. And precisely that place has been existing for over 17 years, if I must tell you, because I was born and raised in that place, and I'm about 50 years, this is my age. So like that, Otumara is a community where people go to school, law-abiding people. They've also voted for the current government. But unfortunately, at the time they said they want to develop our community, and that was coming from Lassa for regeneration. And we all welcome that. That is a development idea by the community. And there was an arrangement within the community leader, which I'm part of it, to interface between the community and Lassa to see how we can have all-inclusive regeneration. That was an agreement within we community and the Lagos State Agency as regards to that generation. And it showed very blatantly that before they will come to do that, they will get everybody involved. They will meet everybody. All landlords will remain in that place as far as we are willing to do with them as agreed. And that was what we thought, and that's what was going to happen. Unfortunately, a place within our community close to us was also demolished. We don't know, but the tree fire burned everywhere, burned down people suddenly. And you know, people were afraid. We are afraid that there were presence of Nigerian police force, Lassa, some agencies from Lagos State. So they felt that how can this come to reality? Well, we feel that what can we do? We wrote to the government that this is what they're going to around us, and we also wrote to them about that threat and rumor that our community is going to be the next one to be demolished, and we are taking some steps. But unfortunately, yesterday, around 12:30, 1 o'clock, we just saw every presence of Nigerian police force, task force, Lassa, and other agencies that we cannot really explain them, you know, setting the entire community in a panic, and we are all running helter-skelter. How would you do this? That's a place where our families, some people have spent their whole life there. How would you go about that? And I think that is against the policy of Governor Sanwo-Olu, that they will not push people away. They must not just push on like that, because it's also part of the responsibility of the government to provide shelter for their citizens. And we have one day, even though there could be any development, we are not against it, but at least they must come to us, you know, follow the due process. People are not goats, we are not animals, we are human beings, we are citizens, law-abiding citizens indeed. We voted for this running government as a citizen. That if there is going to be anything like that, I think it calls for us, them to say, okay, how do we go about this? That's a community for over 50,000 residents. So
was there any, prior notice before coming yesterday? Was there a prior notice to this?
There is any notice. If I had notice prior to that, then I think maybe we wouldn't have come to this place. But there was nothing like that. They only said 2 days. That 2 days notice. We have the copy, everything as regards to that. And even the president, we have gone to the local government to report that. And she said the government is not aware of that this is coming from the land grabber. That it's not from the government, that there's no government that wants to do this to the citizen, except the land grab of hiding under some agency of the Lagos State governments. And that is why we said we come to the assembly, we finish to the governor, so that the whole world should just come to our aid and see how these people's soul could be saved from this unnecessary demolition.
So for how long have you been in the front of, the National Assembly? Has any government official, come out to address the people?
Yes, we have been here since as early as 9 o'clock. And some of them have come to see us and he asked us to do some things. And I've done those things. And some of our leaders have also gone into them to see how they can discuss with government. That's why we are still standing here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So they've, given us a summary of what happened yesterday, saying that they have been here since, I think, 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., and they've shared their grievances. And they're saying that the community leaders are inside trying to find out what will happen, discuss with them, and to know what step to take.
All right, thank you so much, Olusola Ajayi. That's on the proposed or alleged building demolition that the people are agitated over. But definitely we'll be seeing how that turns out. Thank you once again. And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. Now, we told you that the PDP National Working Committee, I beg your pardon, PDP National Working Committee has voided suspension of Botchir Wabara. They also mentioned Nigerian lawmakers have rejected hike in telecom tariff, insist service providers must improve network quality. And finally, we told you that fresh fighting has erupted in eastern DR Congo following breach of ceasefire agreement. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, StarTimes, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Musugu.